Welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I am Clinton Bonner, and I'm of course joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. And listeners, viewers, you know by now, this would not be, it could not be. We cannot traverse the Seahawks multiverse without the protector of the Seahawks multiverse, and that is Mr. Phil Leidick down there, center square, of course. Gentlemen, 6-3. I'll tell you this, folks. On the rewatch of that Commanders game, I felt a heck of a lot better about the game after rewatching it. Maybe didn't feel so good in the moment, but then I was like, you know what? It's just like little tweaks here and there. And I think we can get to that fourth and fifth gear and unlock this team for a big playoff run. A huge part of that playoff run, guys, is going to be, can we take down a rival that has had our number kind of time and time again? McVay versus Carroll here. Can we take down those filthy Rams and go to 7-3? Because right after that, this schedule gets really, really tough. So I know it's always like, it's a must win. But this one kind of feels like we got to have this. We got to have this one on the road. Brandon, do you think we need to have this game that we're about to preview versus the Rams for the projection of our season? Do we need to win this game coming up?
For my sanity and emotional well-being, yes. I mean, I hate the Rams so much. And it's a game like this that is, I'm used to losing it. So it's hard to be positive going into this week because it's stupid Sean McVay and Matt Stafford's back and healthy, but I don't even know if that matters because Matt Stafford with a bad thumb versus Brett Rippon. The Seahawks do terrible against Rams backup quarterbacks. They got Carson Wentz now that we got Brett Rippon. It's all a mess. And I don't know what to think about this week. So I guess I'll just be happy about the win that we're coming off of. And I don't know how you rewatched that and felt better. I felt the exact same because, other than happy about the win at the end, I don't know how your mood changes based on the things that happen. The same things happened on the rewatch that happened watching the game.
Oh, I don't know. Like I could watch a movie for the second time, third time, fourth time, and pick new things up, right? And
Interstellar was great. The second watch.
So do you ignore the bad parts then the second time that you watch to not think about the bad things that you remember watching it the first time?
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's ignoring the bad things. It's more putting things into compartments and being like, oh, Gino kind of struggled in a really small sliver of the game. End of the second half, start of the third quarter there was a bit of a struggle bus there. The rest of it was actually pretty darn good, so that's the cope I'm going through. And then Mr. Phil is going to help us though. He's going to help us get focused on this Rams game and get focused on, what is it going to take to defeat this rival this time out? And of course he'll bring the theme. But before he does that, let's introduce Mr. Phil. Phil, I don't think you like the Rams either. Is that true? Hard-hitting question.
Cannot stand the Rams, of course. How could I think any differently? I will say the last game, I enjoyed it. There's 3 plays I hated. I hated that we let the running backs get out and just run down the sideline. And I hated how Geno Pete combination ended the half. Other than that, I thought we dominated. I don't know what anybody was upset about. We controlled the game. So I'm feeling pretty good about this game, but I was feeling pretty good about the last time we faced the Rams. I don't know about you guys. I was all stoked for week number 1. Then I quickly tried to delete it from my mind.
Yeah, confidence was high, I think, for all of us coming out of the preseason, and we got smacked, right, 30-13, and it even wasn't even that close. Like that's a 17-point loss at home to open the season.
We were ahead the first half.
I know that's true
like
fact.
Total garbage. It was
true
worst
fact.
Half of the season.
Yeah, I think we lost 23-0 second half of the game.
That's right.
So the beautiful part is, I'm sure we'll get into it, it's actually a markedly different team that we're fielding this time out. And that I'm sure that'll come into the discussion. So we always do a previously with the protector. Before we get there, though, let us remind the audience real quick that if you're a Seahawkers podcast fan or just here for the very first time, the thing we'd love you to go do, it really helps out quite a bit. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, subscribe on audio, like it, share it with 12s. That's how the whole thing grows. And when the whole thing grows, the Hawkra grows. And if you're so into it, get in theflock.com, become a member of the flock. $3 or more gets you into the Discord, $12 or more, the Facebook Ring of Honor. Just eternally awesome discussions all the time. Game day, midweek, draft season, Monday night, doesn't matter. There's always really cool discussions going on in the Seahawkers pod community. We encourage you to get involved in any and all of those ways. Mr. Phil, what do we need to know about this Rams team? What do you want us to focus on from a previously that gets us ready to talk about this matchup?
Yes, but we give an alteration to previously with a protector this week because they didn't play last week. The week before, they didn't play with Stafford. And we didn't even bring up that, starting quarterbacks with thumb issues, we haven't even done well against those either.
No, we have not. Right.
But Stafford was awesome last time we played him. Hopefully it's not the same. Their offense is middle of the pack by DVOA, 14th with the pass, 17th with the run. Pretty mediocre, pretty decent. They're 22nd in points per game, 19.8, 14th in yards per game of 336. I put this on the offense side. They're minus 0.2 in their turnover margin, which is right in the middle, 17th. The reason I put it there is because Stafford has 7 picks and his 8 touchdowns. They're number 13 in yards per play, though, so they do take advantage. They're a little bit better on win than just the overall yards. Stafford has an 82 rating, as you see on the screen there. Not awesome, but boy, he seems to make good plays against us. Kyron Williams I put on here because he was doing great, but he's now on IR. So they got Cooper Kupp back against us. They've had him for a while, but they will not have Kyron Williams, their best running back. They're down into some guys that have just kind of hung around the league. That's who we'll be seeing. Puka, of course, has been just a revelation this year for their team. Player number 17, 92 yards per game, 7 receptions a game. So that's just a quick kind of run through on their offense. Really, they've done a lot better than I thought they would with this put together offensive line. Their defense is 19th by DVOA, 12th against the pass, 22nd versus the run, number 22 in points per game at 22.7 they give up. 20th in yards per game at 340, 22nd in yards per play at 5.4. So really, it seems like they could be a 50-50 team. Like if you look at their stats, you might expect more 4-4 than 3-6, if we had to be honest. Aaron Donald, still beastly, 5.5 sacks already, 11 tackles for loss. Maybe not as beastly as the other one, but this is Aaron Donald versus the Seahawks, of course. Ernest Jones, number 53, has 75 tackles, leads him quite a bit there. Second in tackle for loss with 9. And they only have one DB with more than 1 pick. That's our old friend, Akilo Witherspoon, number 44. Anything else we need to say about the Rams before we get into the theme, Brandon?
Catfish the Rams.
Love it.
Anything else, Clinton?
Just that they're good. They're seemingly healthier. And that's, of course, a bye week will do that, right? And I will be, how healthy is Stafford with that thumb? It's a pretty significant thumb injury. Can he actually control the ball? Can he actually be accurate?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we shall find out. I think it might matter. It hasn't in the past, but the past does not dictate the future. Not in the NFL.
He still has the same brain, and for whatever reason, it's his mind I'm more terrified of when we're playing Stafford than anything else that he does. But
yeah,
that's
pizza, indeed.
Okay, well, here's the theme, gentlemen. This particular week, we're playing the lambs. My wife's favorite meat is lamb. So I thought, hey, our family should enjoy a lamb lunch as we face the Los Angeles Lambs. I just think it'd be appropriate. And so what if we enjoy, as Hawk fans, a lamb feast? And for my family, a double lamb feast in flavor and in the Seahawks eating upon them. Here's some of the more famous lamb dishes you might have heard of. Lamb stew, rack of lamb, roast lamb, leg of lamb, shepherd's pie, the traditional way, has lamb, and then lamb burger. I didn't know that was a thing until I was researching lamb food. So we are at a week where it will be the 10th game the Hawks play, which means Clinton picks the very first category. Clinton, what if we enjoy a lamb feast? Where are we going?
You're making me hungry. Thank you for that. First and foremost, I also didn't know about the lamb burger, wham burger. I'll leave that on the board. If I had to just choose on like deliciousness that I think I'd enjoy the most in a pub, maybe with a pint, you might know where I'm going. I'd probably go shepherd's pie. I like a shepherd's pie. I like the whole concoction.
Here we go. How about some shepherd's pie? Clinton, what if Shane or Clint
Mhm.
can bake up some buttery goodness this Sunday. You got the lovely butter flavor with the pie. What types of plays would you feature on the menu against the Lambs?
Ooh, this is great. Good stuff. I love when I pick a category and then I'm like, ooh, I thought about something like this, right? So that's here I
Yeah.
go. I have a chance to sound smart, which is better than most times for me. So the thing that so I'm going to stick on defense. Last week against the Commanders, what did we see? First play of the game, cornerback blitz by Witherspoon, batted down pass. I think second thing of the game, cornerback blitz by Witherspoon, should have been a 4-yard dump off. We can't tackle. 2 plays later, Jamal Adams blitz. So within 4 plays, 3 blitzes. And you might be like, well, hey, Clint, that resulted in like a 60-yard touchdown. I understand that, but it shouldn't have, right? Jamal Adams should be able to sack Sam Howell on that play. And maybe that's something that we could course correct there. The formula, though, is not being afraid to try and heat up Stafford early. We don't know about the thumb, but I do know that if Stafford has a clean pocket and clean lanes to go see, I know what that typically results in for us, and it ain't good. We saw that already. We've seen that before. Don't want that again.
No sacks in game 1, right?
I don't think no sacks and really no heat whatsoever. So that's the dial. Give me the shepherd's pie, but throw in, I don't know if that's sriracha or just some Pete's hot sauce. I don't know what you do there. Make it a spicy one. Do not be afraid to heat Stafford up early and specifically do it with our DBs. It should have worked early against the Commanders. We were right there between the batted pass and between Adams should have had a sack really early to shut that down. Didn't go the right way, but don't be afraid of dialing it up again. And let's see if we could just have a different result this time.
All right, Brandon. Clint wants our other favorite Clint, our second favorite Clint, Mr. Hurt,
Thank you.
to heat up Stafford. Brandon, what kind of plays do you want to feature on the menu this week?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that a little bit because the thing that I worry about when you blitz Stafford is that he's just going to find the open guy, and when you send additional blitzers, ultimately you end up leaving somebody open. And so what I would like to see, I like the idea of bringing pressure, but I also like the idea of maybe dropping back one of your more athletic guys into coverage, so that way you're still keeping enough guys out in coverage, but you're bringing that pressure from maybe a different or unexpected spot. So if you're dropping back or sending, gosh, I don't know, pick a guy, because you have so many guys you can send. You can send Bobby, you can send Jamal, you can send Witherspoon. You could even send Woolen off the edge at times. There's so many other different opportunities, but you got to have some of those other guys on the defensive line who are more athletic, who are able to drop into coverage and then cover those spaces where Stafford's going to dump off to. And with his bad thumb, you don't want to leave a lot of these short options open. I think that's going to remove maybe some of the deep shots that we'll see Stafford taking, but he's so quick to find those short options that that's where I end up having the concern.
All right, so send 1, not 2 is kind of what you're thinking. If you no second guy on the menu for Brandon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have shepherd's pie gone. You have 5 choices left on my menu as we prepare to enjoy some tasty lamb feast this week, Brandon.
Yeah. Well, if Clinton's going to leave the lamb burger on the board, then I'm going to take it.
Have you had a
Nice.
lamb burger, Brandon?
Maybe.
Okay. I'm curious to try.
Is it
Burger?
like a hamburger but with lamb? I would
Yeah.
assume so. And if that's the case, I've eaten many kinds of burgers, and so I would suspect that it's possible.
Bear burger, elk burger from Montana. You've had them all.
Bison
Moose
burger.
Bison. Yeah, of course you have. Okay.
Wait,
Well,
bear? Did you say bear?
Yeah, do you have not bear burger? That'd be
Can you
greasy,
do
right?
that?
Well, you can have roast. I think actually I've had people take the ground bear and combine it with a little bit of beef. So it's kind of a bear beef burger.
I don't think I've ever had bear. I didn't.
Yeah.
Does that make?
It's good
I-
roast. It's just greasy. It's good roast.
I never have either.
Now, I haven't eaten grizzly or I would be in jail right now. So it's black bear. So just to be
Gotcha.
clear for everyone listening out there. Okay. Brandon, speaking of lamb burger, I haven't had it. but I found some pictures and that looks like ground lamb. So what if the ground game is predictive in this matchup? Brandon, what are some stats you hope to see on either side of the ball in this one?
When it comes to the ground, I feel like both of these teams are going to avoid too much like if either team is over 100 rushing yards, or maybe I don't know, give it 110 because you might see a line of 70 for Walker and 40 or 30 for between the other guys on the Seahawks. But I just don't expect a whole lot of running in this matchup because I think the way to attack the Rams defense is through the air. And so if we do see a lot of rushing, we're going to see a low scoring game, which would be okay, I suppose, against the Rams, because that means it's going to end up being a close game toward the end. I just think that the way that these two teams match up, the way that Stafford is without having healthy running backs, or I guess they have healthy running backs, but they're not real good. So I just think that this is going to be a passing matchup between these two teams, and we'll probably going to see something in the 20s or maybe even 30s for both these teams.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, sign me up for a close game, because I think we win more than not in the close ones, but we've yet to do the blowout thing against the Rams. Is that right?
I would say it feels that feels true, Phil.
Okay.
Definitely not this year.
Unless you go back to
Like
Super
pre-Pete?
Bowl, LOB era.
Yeah, pre-Pete years.
No, I think we lit up the Rams in one of the LOB era.
Yeah, one of them we just
that's right. I think that's right.
Like on a Thursday night or something.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, we'd have to check.
Feels good.
Linton, do you have something different to say about this question? Some stats you hope to see on either side of the ball in the ground game?
You're asking me for numbers, so of course I've got something different, right? So I love my numbers. We talked before we got on about, hey, the last time we played, the Rams had 39 minutes of possession, 39 minutes, and then you hear Coach Carroll get back on the Brock and Salk thing he does every week, and they're like, hey, Pete, you're still throwing the ball 60% of the time. Like, is that what you want, essentially? And he's like, no, right? It's like, nope, not dialed the way he wants it quite yet. I think I love the mix last week of the shorter passes. We saw a lot more over the middle. I really dug that. We saw quite a bit of stuff at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. That was okay. I could default to some of those being just run plays and not doing more bubbles. They seem to work, but I'd rather run the ball more. I would like us to be, and my prediction will be that we actually get closer to about 45%, running the ball with our total net plays. The big faction for me that's now developed, it's kind of like that meme of the boyfriend looking at the next girl walking by, and the current girlfriend looking at him like, what are you doing? A couple of weeks ago, it was Geno versus whoever else. So I put in Drew Lock. All right, that's kind of tampered down a little bit. We'll see if that continues to. Now the next conversation is K9 versus Charbonnet. Like, which one deserves more? I got to tell you, the game where K9 got 20-something carry, like 25 carries, where Charbonnet was hurt, K9 went off. He was awesome as the cowbell guy. The bell cow. Yeah, I want more. I want the cowbell.
More cowbell. That too.
I want more. He's the cowbell guy.
More lamb chops. All of it.
He's the cowbell guy, Brandon. So I'm firmly in the camp of, actually, I want more K9 touches, and that could come in the form of screen passes for all I care too. I think as the game wears on, Charbonnet ends up with situations where we're blocking better because we've worn them down. He had that kind of nice rattle off of 10-yard gain. Well, the blocking was friggin' awesome on those plays. Nothing against Charbonnet. He ran them well. Yeah. But give K9 those, and I think he's busting one of them for 30 or 40 yards. So I'm just trying to put my chips into I still like K9 a little bit more as the number one running back on this team. So I'd love to see him at 20 or more touches himself. I'm not sure we do it. It's more of a want than a prediction. But let's lean into K9 as the top dog and still use Charbonnet. Just increase the volume in general. That's what I like to see, man. And by doing so, by the way, what should it do? It should get that time possession either in our favor or at least very, very close to square, real close to 50-50. Because 39 minutes for the Rams to have the ball, absolutely unacceptable. We will not win the game if that happens again.
I like how you don't miss a chance to be saucy, Clinton, with the other Hawk fans. Kind of like the Ziki sauce it looks like on that Lamburger right there. But
Does
yeah,
look good.
there's something about fans. They always know exactly which player, if they put it in, we'd just be so much better.
Right.
It's like extreme choices of this just needs to change. Put this bench guy in, and it's going to make like a 50-point difference. And kind of fascinating.
I don't. So I can understand wanting to see more Charbonnet because we've seen some nice runs from him. I guess I don't understand where we see the improvement because the ability for Walker to be so much more explosive, you want to have that on the field as much as possible. But I suppose there's the idea too of, okay, well, I just want a guy that's going to go pound it for, consistent 5 yards per carry every time. I don't know if either one of those guys is necessarily that guy. So you want to go with the one who's more likely. It probably would be Charbonnet, but I don't know if we can get consistent enough blocking from the offensive line to make that happen, especially against the Rams defensive line.
I like both runners. They're just a little bit different.
It's okay to like both.
Yeah, and I do like both, and they are different. It's for me, it's just I think Brandon, you're nailing it in the sense that, look, if Charbonnet was getting the volume that K9 was getting, there might be some discrepancies in yards per attempt as it averages out, sure, but there's plenty of times where K9 is like dead to rights behind, because there's no blocking and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, or he gets 2 yards and he avoids a negative play. Where we saw Charbonnet, I know it was, preseason when there was no blocking whatsoever. And we're like, oh my gosh, we spent a second round on this guy. No, the blocking stunk, right? So if he had the volume and he had to go through the gauntlet that K9 goes through in the ebb and flow of a game, I just don't, he's not going to get what K9 gets on the plays where there's no blocking, or the dump off for a 64-yard touchdown where K9 has the speed in it and then runs directly through contact. Charbonnet's strong, but he's not getting 0 to 60 like K9 gets. He's not getting the end zone in that play.
Well, that's right.
And a lot of times you see Charbonnet seeking the contact.
Yeah, he's great. Look,
which is great too, because it fires up the team in a different way.
And I want to appease and give the other side. I know there's Charbonnet fans out there. Hey, that 4th and 1 where we did the Lockett gets the screen and gets us to 4th and 1 from 3rd and 6 to 4th and 1. Hey, guess what? The horse to go get that 1 yard. That was Charbonnet, and that was the right call, and we got the conversion. So I'm not like, hey, this is a zero-sum game. I just don't love this over rotation that Charbonnet would be that much better. It's like, well, we got the explosive guy. Like, give him the volume because you're gonna get those 64, 50-yard touchdowns. They're just gonna come. That's part of K9's game. But he's got to get the volume. He's got to get the quarters in the machine to produce that every now and again. And let's not take away the chances there.
I think they've found the perfect balance right now, just like the tzatziki on the Lamburger.
Yeah. Speaking of Charbonnet, you know what I messed up on this picture here with the roast lamb? I should have had the char bonnet's head on fire roasting the lamb. That, or maybe I should have put Sean McVay's hair on fire. I don't know. One of the two.
He is a little bit too close to the fire right there. I'd be concerned if I were him.
Yeah, very flammable situation for his hair, for sure. Very Michael Jackson, the situation.
It's gonna go up in flames soon. Clinton, next category as we seek a lamb feast.
Yeah, I'm just going in the order of things that I would eat first. I mean, I love a shepherd's pie, and if you take away the crust on the outside, you basically got a stew. It's a stew with a little pastry pouch. Give me the lamb stew.
Okay, I'm glad we got stew
with a side of potatoes.
Lamb stew, Clinton. What if while boiling the lambs, we add in some tasty ingredients? What delicious plays do you hope McVay is stewing on afterward? What do you got for this one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, this is good. This is good. Where I want to see the most consistent thing, like if I could pick one thing to take from last week and then say, hey, do that again and maybe do more of it, or just do the same level of it, DK over the middle. I mean, it's like, we don't need DK 30 yards downfield and 3rd and 3s. I mean, sure, take your shots every now and again. Please don't do it on 3rd and 2s. We don't need to. with that, DK inside the hashes, DK, quote unquote, dare I say, as a possession receiver, I don't care how you label it. What I like is 7 of 11 for 98 yards and third down conversions and fourth quarter drives that you're getting the ball to the big dude who can do a quick slant, use his body, and then Geno could be on time with those throws. Like, that's the play, man. If we could just bring that in, bring that forward, and McVay's got to stew on that. He's got to eat. He's got to think about how he possibly could defend that. I think it's simple pitch and catch stuff. 3 yards back, give Geno a lane, right? Keep the hands down and let DK do DK things with his body that are easier conversions that just, you look at the end of the game, you're like, oh, he compiled almost 100 yards. Yeah. Let's do that. We don't do that nearly enough. Yeah. I think we're hyper successful when we do. So I would love for McVay to be just totally pissed off because he watched DK get 8 receptions and most of them over the middle where he could do nothing about it. That'd be delightful.
Smells and sounds delicious, Clinton. I love that one. Brandon, how about you? Some delicious plays you hope McVay has to stew on through the night this Sunday night.
Yeah, I'll also stay on the offense on this one. I think what I want to see the offense do, though, is really stress the Rams linebackers in different ways. And Clinton hit it over the middle is one way to do it, but also, if you're sending some of your receivers deep and either sending tight ends out toward the edges, really making them having to run toward the outside of the field or try and cover running backs out in the flat. Like I said before, I don't know if hammering up the middle is necessarily the way to go against this Rams defense. So really trying to test those edges and in particular test the linebackers because I don't feel like they have a really strong linebacking group. So if you've got Kenneth Walker on the outside, able to make some of these linebackers miss, if you're using your tight ends, more Will Dissly, more Noah Fant, I think some of those short plays could be some of the keys to keeping this offense moving. You don't necessarily need the big chunk plays, and you want to keep the time of possession short. So some of those short passes just to get those 5-6 yard chunks and move down the field against this Rams defense while taking time off the clock.
I like it.
Me too.
Here we go. Brandon, I guess I need to eliminate lamb stew. You're down to rack of lamb, roast lamb, and leg of lamb.
I'm going with the rack of lamb.
Delicious. Now that is delicious right there.
It is. I don't know why it's even still on the board if we're going by deliciousness.
Brandon.
That does look good. That does look good.
What if the Lambs are racking up some yards? What kind of yards are least likely to be consequential? We got to give them a few. We got to let them rack up. What do they call that? Tabulate? I don't know. They're just
like empty calories type.
Accumulating empty yards. What do we give them if we have to give them something, Brandon?
Yeah, the empty yards. If the thing that I worry about the most with the Rams is that a lot of these short throws where they're getting yards after the catch. So if they're racking up if they're compiling, I think the word you're looking for is compiling. So if they're doing a lot of compiling, then I suppose you want those yards to be through the ground with, because then you're keeping it out of the hands of guys like Puka, who is just tearing it up this year. Cooper Kupp is a guy who can catch short passes, get big yards. So I'm going to stick with a couple of guys and go with if your big yard compilers are Tyler Higbee and whatever running back ultimately they choose. Darrell Henderson probably is the natural guy. If those two are the yard compilers, then that's going to be the least consequential.
Some of those guys, Harry and the Hendersons, the whatever guys that aren't killing us. Yeah, the reason I threw that out there is because they have had some games where they compiled and then didn't get points. So I think it is a way to hold them down. Do you have any thoughts on this question, Clinton? What kind of yards are likely to be the least consequential yards for them to make?
Yeah, I think Brandon got it, and it's difficult to go away from it in a way that is truthful. I will say that maybe a different take on that is keeping stuff in front of us, like on second down, and just trying to be a little more specific with it, because The
Yeah.
Rams, the Rams are in 11 personnel almost 93% of the time. It's like
Wow.
92.3%. And they run motion 70 some odd percent of the time. It's like they're constant motion. It's like the same look, but then they do little subtle things that are there to confuse the defense. And that's where Stafford can be super effective. So I'm just trying to break it down to what down might be least consequential. Well, if we're successful on first down, because they'll also throw on first down, I'm just gravitating towards like, okay, they get a little dump off to Higbee on a second down, but we're maintaining it's 3rd and 5. Hey, it's 3rd and 6. Maybe that's a way to slice it too. Because if they do what they did last time against us, which is what was it, 11 for 17, plus they had a 4th down conversion last game. So you could just kind of compile that in and say really 12 of 18 if you want to.
Yeah.
If that's the success they have on 3rd down, well then good luck. We're gonna have a bad time. It's gonna be a bad day, right? So just trying to be a little finer with it. But I think Brandon really nailed it with the who, which I think is the better answer.
Good. Yeah. Let them get a few yards, but let's not let them keep over and over succeeding on 3rd down and then the red zone, things like that. Guys that can really burn us. Okay, so that takes the rack. The rack is gone. Clinton, we're down to roast lamb or leg of lamb.
I like a good roast. I think, swapping whatever meat, a roast well done is delicious.
Okay. Clinton, what if there are some weak areas on LA's defense now? Who or where can our Hawks potentially roast them? I give you the who or the where, so you can kind of go either way, a place for us to really roast them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Brandon talked about that in the last one a bit. I still would like to. I was talking about earlier that yes, I think we should run the ball more, and Pete's gonna ask for that. Yeah. The other piece is that I still look at this DB room, and I see a lot of young dudes, and I still don't see a lot of star talent across.
Journeyman.
Yeah, there's some journeymen. There's just some young folks that are out there that were drafted last year, late round people that were drafted in the 4th round, 6th round, 7th round, and yet they're starting. So like kudos to them. With that, Pro Bowlers and all pros, they're not. They are not. So when we get those chances for Geno to be very efficient, I do want to see us roasting some of these DBs. So maybe the way it manifests itself is the one thing that hasn't clicked yet is really those deep shots we saw last year for 6. Those deep shots for touchdowns, 35-yard plus, 40-yard plus, rainbows to Lockett, and DK scoring 6. That would be an area where can we roast them on 1 or 2 of those this game? I think it is a side dish or a complementary to running the ball well and then having play action under center to open up those deep shots. I think it's a system that has to work together. Yeah. But it certainly would be really, really cool if we see Tyler getting over the top at least one time and just doing the Tyler spike in the end zone. And that would be a roast that I would celebrate, Mr. Phil.
Love it. Beautiful, sunny LA weather, little play action after we've been peppering him with some runs, and bomb. I like it. Brandon, what do you think? Are there some weak areas on this LA defense? By stats, there are. Have you identified where those soft points are?
I think one of their weakest guys to go after, and I don't really care for Ahkello Witherspoon either, but I think he is better than Kobe Durant over on the other side. And the guy that I would really like to target against Kobe, he's got decent size. He's 5'11", but if I'm going to go with a player who I like in the contested catch game against Kobe, it's going to be some Jake Bobo. If we can get some deep passes to Jake Bobo on Kobe Durant, I like that one-on-one matchup, and we haven't seen enough Bobo. So you got Bobo against Puka, and this matchup, I want to see Bobo get the win.
And do you guys think a lot about Fuller or Yeast, their safeties? Are they anybody to be concerned about? I don't hear a lot of chatter about them. I was curious what you guys thought.
Yeah, I think Fuller I think he's been okay. And well, I think Yeast has been, they're okay.
Okay.
And the thing is that I thought that we'd be able to torch the secondary in the week 1 matchup. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little bit hesitant to say that that's where they should go. And so I'm trying to pick the one-on-one matchups.
Yeah. It's kind of like your first time barbecuing a certain thing and you got the smoker and you're like, I think this should work. But I did have that one experience where the whole thing caught fire and I about lost my smoker. So
it feels that way.
Yeah. Okay. Roast lamb gone. We are getting full here. Last one, leg of lamb. Brandon, that's the only place we can go. Yeah. What if you tell us whose legs you'd especially like to put a fork in? Who's most likely to carve us up if we don't chew them up first, Brandon?
Whenever you play the Rams, I feel like the number one answer off the board on a question like this should, and until he retires, will always be Aaron Donald, because he is the guy on defense for the Rams that you've got to worry about. 40 pressures on defense, leading the team. The next closest, Byron Young with 31. 6 sacks, leading the team. He's got 27 quarterback hurries, leading the team. And it's the only thing that he isn't leading the team in is batted passes, which I feel like now we have to worry about every week with our offensive line for some reason, because they're always allowing some batted passes. Stops, he's leading the team in that. So if they found a way, he was not as impactful in that first game as I maybe would have expected. I feel like we didn't hear his name called a ton. And so, dust off that plan from week 1. And he's going up against guys who are relatively similar. And Phil Haynes, expect him to be out there. Bradford might be back and healthy for this week. So however they manage to do that in terms of playing time. But putting a fork in Aaron Donald is what this offensive line needs to do to help get this win.
Yeah, and once they put it into Andy Dickerson's poke him in the neck and touch him in the face approach to blocking, all of a sudden they seem to be batting our passes down. So now Andy has to come up with a new little trick, I guess. Clinton, who do we have to put a fork in, and who do we have to chew up, or they're going to carve us up?
So while Donald is the perennial issue, that is correct. It's sometimes for us also, it's like that the other dude, whether that's been Leonard Floyd in the past, just other dudes that are getting the benefit of playing next to the most first ballot of all first ballot Hall of Famers that might be playing today, right? So the dude I'm looking at is Brandon mentioned him, but Byron Young. He okay, I don't know Byron Young yet, maybe, right? Some folks are like, who is that dude? He's edge. He's from Tennessee. He's a rookie, a 25-year-old rookie, which whatever with the COVID year, we're seeing more and more of that. He's got 5 sacks on the year. And every time I watch the Rams, it's not just the fact that he's got 5 sacks in a very Mafe type way. It's like more and more, he's also like disrupted 2 or 3 other plays, or was like super close to getting another sack in that game, or at least another half sack in that game, and then a batted down pass. He's a very, very good edge player. And if we don't know about him yet, so want to kind of put the spotlight, like, yes, we all know Donald, and he is a problem. He will continue to be. Byron Young is a legit player. So what are we doing? What side is he lining up on? If it's Cross has had problems with speed, the speed to power type guys. Cross played good last week, but the week previous against the Ravens, not so good. And then on the right-hand side, I don't think we see Abe yet either. So if he's over there, okay, then he's lined up against a 42-year-old who played good last week, but the Commanders' edge group was just sold, right? They just sold their edge group off. So they had really young people in there that are much less experienced. So Byron Young's a dude. Just got to have a kind of a clean sheet against him. Donald's going to do what he does. Set it and forget it. Can you keep the second dude? Can you keep the Robin, the sidecar guy? Give him a clean sheet, and that'll be really good for our Seahawks. So Byron Young, 0 sacks. That would be pristine.
Perfect choice, Clinton. I was going to say, for the listeners, as you Hawk fans seek to enjoy some lamb this weekend, if you can have the rack of lamb, because that's the super pricey one, the leg of lamb is a great choice, especially if you can put it on the smoker. And so maybe Clinton, as he picked the follow-up, if you can't have the rack, if you can't stop the Donald, then you got another one to go with. Byron Young is the next choice. How about why not both though? Why not just control both?
Can we
And then
have more
just sell
forks?
Cooper Kupp and Puka as well,
yes.
right?
Yes, more forks, and of course our Witherspoons. And I think we could do it. I think we could do it. It's just our history against it's our history against McVay, guys, right? McVay knows how to scheme against our team. Can we battle that this time? We'll see. We shall see. It's going to be tough.
All right, in a moment, we're going to get to the part that one of our co-hosts has been looking forward to finally. But first, we have the From the Flock section. We do our wishes, our What If Super Hawk, the wishes that we have for the game this week. I think some came true last week, so we're thankful for your wishes, putting them in our What If Wishing Well. Here we go. Red Wagon, to not get revenge, pure and simple revenge. Can one of you help me understand what Red Wagon means by that?
I cannot.
To get revenge after they beat us in week 1.
Well, he says to not get revenge, pure and simple revenge. Maybe he wants a form of revenge.
Oh,
I think
he wants like deep revenge.
Yeah, serious.
I think he just has
not just little revenge, like all of it.
I think it's just a typo. That's my guess.
Not just get it, just take it. Not just get. I don't know. Don't let it come to you. Go take it. I'm not sure. Boye Komava. Wish the offense maintains its second half trend of short breaking plays over the middle rather than their obsession with long developing downfield routes. Like that. Car, she gets a wish in at least every week. Gino gets his groove back. Well, I think he started to in the second half. I want to see him not being terrified of turning the ball over or getting sacked and being able to get going again now with a little more consistency on the O-line. Like that. Lloydzilla, wish for me is Noah Fant to get 3 receptions, 35 yards, and a touchdown. Feel we are underutilizing him at the moment, and he could be our Travis Kelce light. Interesting thoughts there. I'd like to get some Fant going. Witherfork, wish, and lots of people loved this wish and agreed and followed up and redid it. Bobby to get an interception and do the Nino wave to the Lambs sideline. So
Love
that would be delicious.
The only extra wish on that last one is, can it be a fake interception like he got last year against us, where it was a complete pass? They rolled on the ground for like 5 minutes, and then the refs are like, oh, I guess you're Bobby Wagner, so it's your ball. Because that was something.
I would take that one too. I want to go back to the Gino one, because in terms of this is where I felt the most hesitancy about Gino's game, and maybe where my feelings about it flipped watching it versus post game. And that was that stretch to where a lot of us got frustrated with Gino, especially at the end of the first half. And it really was kind of that stretch of maybe the drive before the first half, that drive right before, and so the 2 drives in there, and then maybe coming out of halftime, he seemed a little bit hesitant. And I wonder if part of that is not wanting to turn the ball over, and maybe it's okay to be okay with that, because this last game against the Commanders was the one where he stopped the streak of throwing interceptions. The Seahawks get the win. So he was more careful about it. It obviously made him look a little bit more uncomfortable in the pocket at times, but it's that discomfort that maybe prevented him from taking those extra chances. I could maybe count on, maybe there were 1 or 2 plays where, it was awfully close. He had the one really nice lob throw over the top of the linebacker that maybe it looked close in real time. It wasn't close afterward, but his ability to not turn the ball over in the last game against the Commanders, it helped the team win the turnover battle and get the win.
You know what I like, Brandon? I like 3-pointers more than interceptions. So 5 Myers kicks, you throw in a touchdown or 2, and you are in the tops of the league for points per game. Get down there, get 3 if you got it. Don't turn it over when you have 3. If you can get the touchdown, take it. I'm not against it.
Yeah. That piece too is like, a lot of folks were like, oh, the offense looks so broken. It stalled, but we still scored 29 points, and averages are what they are. It's like
7.
That's quite a number of points to score in an NFL game. So yes, we always want more. Of course, that's how we're wired. But it wasn't like that's the rewatch to go back to it, Brandon. It's like, wait, no, this was actually a lot better than what it felt like, because we moved the ball. It's punching it in, boys, punching it in. That's all.
Yeah,
I didn't know why the defense stopped playing awesome at the end, but I do have to
that's
give
what bothered
credit.
me was the
The
missed
quarterback
tackles
really was smoking at the end, and
at the end.
A lot of backyard football at the end. It got weird. It got weird.
Okay, how about we hear y'all's what if Super Hawk, so we can find out what's not going to happen.
Love it.
We'll start with Clinton. What's your what if Super Hawk? I think we've had one successful out of 18 Super Hawks this year, but obviously these are like wishes, so we're hoping it'll take place. What do you got as we play the Rams, Clinton?
Yeah, like a 4% average or so, a 3.75 average. It's not so bad. So I got a good one here. What I don't want, and this will lead quickly to what I do want, is I don't want the repeat of the Carolina game or the repeat of the Washington game. Now I want them at the end because we won both those games, but it was the first half doldrums where we're kicking tons of field goals. So I want 2 first half offensive touchdowns by our Seahawks. We're not settling for 3. We're getting 6. Hey, you could tack on a Myers field goal in the first half if you wish. That'd be totally cool. But 2 offensive touchdowns in the first half where we complete drives. We get 6, not 7. That's my wish.
I love it. Okay, Clinton, 2 offensive touchdowns in the first half. I kind of wish you that the way our wishes have been going, I kind of wish you said that about the Rams, but no, just curious.
I was going to say, like, now I'm worried that it's not going to happen, and I'm going to be very unhappy.
9-6 at halftime, boys. Take it.
Brandon, what do you got?
Please say 2 or more. Well, don't say 2 or more. Just say 2. That way, if it's 3, then you lose, and it works out better for us.
Okay. That's true. So, it is
no,
2 or more.
2 or more. Stop it.
Okay. At least 2.
Stop.
I think he did say at least 2.
At least 2.
2 exactly. And then that way
I'm not putting myself in that corner. No, because if we get 4 of them, I'm taking this win.
Yeah.
At least 2.
Okay. Let's hope that Clinton gets his wish. It's time for it. Brandon, how about your wish?
My wish, I got to go back to the sentimentality of Bobby Wagner returning to LA for another game in a Seahawks uniform because he never played in LA in a Rams uniform. We all know that. But he also has a streak because, I like to go streaking, Phil, in our What If Super Hawk segment.
That's when you're right, is when you go streaking sometimes.
It's time to go streaking because, well, I had a hard time. There's a couple different ways we go streaking. We got Bobby Wagner. We've also got Boye Mafe, who needs his 8th sack in consecutive games. And why that's also kind of cool is that that would tie Javon Curse, who had a sack in 8 consecutive games, which was the longest streak by a player in his first 2 seasons since 1982. So Boye Mafe into uncharted territory if he goes
Brandon,
8 straight.
A little tidbit about the sacks whenever they say since 1982. Do you know why they always say since 1982?
That's when they started counting sacks.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Jacob Green is short of 100 sacks, but he started his career in, I think, 1979 before they started counting him. He should be a 100 sack guy in terms of his career, but he's not because
of course you got the history. Yeah.
Yes.
So, I don't know why I even tried to trivia on that one. Go ahead.
That's okay.
So what is
but
your
it's
wish?
good for other people too. They may not know. All right. So the reason why I'm going with Bobby Wagner, though, he just needs 5 tackles to get his 12th consecutive 100 tackle season. Not a lot of guys have done that. Not a lot of guys have had 100 tackles in 12 consecutive seasons. There's only 2 names, and I'm not going to ask you to guess them because it is kind of relatively obscure. London Fletcher and Derek Brooks. So he will be joining some elite company in terms of tackling machines over the long term. Just needs 5 to do it. I'm going higher than 5. Bobby Wagner has double digits combined tackles and assists. And you know me, I got to go one level deeper.
Oh, here he goes.
One level deeper because
and what's the kicker? What's the kicker?
Not just 10 combined tackles. Also, either a quarterback hit in some way, a tackle for a loss.
You just want to make me work hard.
Yeah.
or a fumble. So just one other stat outside of tackles that's good. So
Okay.
a forced fumble, a pass defense, an interception, a sack, a quarterback hit. One other stat aside from tackles.
Kick a field goal, something big,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So
I like
I
that.
like it. I love the Brandon. I love the Brandon, sidecars. Like he
Keeps
dooms
going.
himself.
No.
It's the
He
best.
just wants Phil to work extra hard before the show to see if Brandon found a way to lose his wish eventually. Okay. So you almost had it last week with you picked Radigan for your wish, right? But
Yeah.
he played, but he only got one special teams tackle. And
Right.
then you said a significant special teams play, but it was just a regular tackle. So
yeah,
I can't give
That's
you
fine.
that one.
I went sentimental with the
Day,
military
yeah.
appreciation game, and because of it, I lost to Clinton.
But it turns out that Clinton had the score gap exact. So it was, if you'd have won by the wish, he'd have been quite sad because Clinton pretty much nailed this game on the score, how it would go down. So Clinton is inching back. Let's hope the Lambs don't follow Clinton's pattern and get closer. So it's 5-4. Brandon now. We got to predict the score. This is a big moment here. Clinton can tie it back, or Brandon can stretch out to the big 2-game lead. Clinton, what's your score for this match?
Yeah, going to be Vegas. I always like to look at where are they putting this thing. So Vegas has the Seattle over and the Ram over, respectively, at 23.5 for each team. That's the over under for each team. So they are like, this is dead heat. I'm going to just say 26-20 Seahawks. We pull away in some way, some form, but again, tight. This is a tight game. It's within one score. 26-20. We go to 7-3 on the year, and we're feeling all right as we head into Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, right where we hoped we would be, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Brandon, what do you got?
Well, I'm not going to $1 Clinton Price is Right rules.
Get a $2 bid.
I will $2. I'm 24-20 for the Seahawks.
24-20 Seattle. That sounds about right. I think this is going to be a tight.
I tell you what, Clinton, I was prepared to go tie game as my prediction in case you predicted a 1-point win.
Wow, look that's awesome. It's okay. My wish is coming true this week. We're getting 2 touchdowns in the first half, and I'll
great.
I'll get it the old-fashioned way.
I love that.
Mine will come true too, and this will be the tiebreaker.
This is such a huge game.
Fine. Love it.
Right where I kind of thought we'd be, 6-3 at this point, and got to have this game going in against the Winers on Thanksgiving, the world's greatest holiday. So for it to really be a great Thanksgiving, hopefully the Seahawks can help us enjoy the tasty meal by starting it off with some delicious lamb this Sunday. Anything else we need to say, gentlemen?
Just F the Lambs.
Okay, so with that, there's only one thing left to say then. What if we say go Hawks?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Hawks, let's go.